warm welcome to the viewers of CCR TV to yet another edition of Agree, Disagree. The issue we are going to discuss today is road safety, on a larger ambit, road safety and various aspects of the road safety issue, like the high rate of accidents and fatal accidents that we have witnessed in the recent weeks and recent months. On our panel, we have a very distinguished panel for this show, distinguished and very relevant to the subject. So I begin introducing my panelists. Advocate Moses Pinto, who has been a very keen, what should I say, a keen volunteer in this field of road safety. He has authored a book called Practice Traffic Yoga, along with three other co-authors. Also on our panel is Dilip Naik, who has been a very activist trying to fight for the rights of vehicle users as well as road users. Another very distinguished person and a very relevant person to this subject is Cecil Rodriguez, who has been active in creating awareness about road signages and also the large number of pothole-ridden roads in Goa through her campaign, Rosto campaign. And the last but not the least person on this panel is a well-known police officer, Bosco George, who recently retired as DIG Goa. Welcome to this panel discussion, and to start off with, I will give a couple of minutes to each panelist to bring to this table their idea of road safety. I'll begin with Moses. Moses, what really motivated you to be so active and take so much of interest on this very relevant and important issue?
Thank you, Ashley, for having me on the show today. Well, I am an avid road safety campaigner, and this has always been a topic which is close to my heart because I have witnessed many road fatalities happening in front of my eyes, and every time I think about the person who has lost their life due to a road incident, the thing which affects me the most is the family that they leave behind. And this aspect of sometimes being a sole breadwinner for the family, the person who has lost his life, being a sole breadwinner for the family, leaves behind dependents, and those liabilities are just forgotten upon the death of that victim. So what happens is, the road fatality not only takes away the life of a person, it takes away the dependability of the family on that person. And it is more so true in a developing country like India, because we are not able to mitigate the road fatalities in an efficient and timely manner so as to ensure that lives are not lost and family livelihoods are not trampled upon. So looking at this scenario, in 2014, myself along with my co-authors who we graduated from Kare Law College, decided to author a book, and the book was titled Practice Traffic Yoga. The idea behind the book was to give Goa its first handbook on road safety and road traffic regulation, because at the time what we had discovered was that the only available text was a nationalized piece of legislation and nationalized guidelines. So we found that we needed to have a publication which could inform the general Goan public about what is the correct way to handle a vehicle on the road, the correct behavior on the road, as well as the aspect of understanding what vulnerability of a road user means. And of course, we covered several case laws since we are law graduates. The whole idea behind releasing a book is to have an authoritative um, text, an authoritative object,
Guide.
a guide, which can allow an easy reference, and it also serves as a conversation starter with the bureaucracy. And we like to believe, at least I like to believe, that since then the road safety campaign has taken off in a direction that is pro-life, proactive. And since then, even though the ratio of road fatalities has always been increasing, we also need to take into account the number of safety measures which have been implemented since the turn of the new millennium. And this is all because there is a shift in understanding of how road safety can be imparted on the roads.
Thanks for whatever you have said, and especially thanks for having authored the book. Okay. We'll come to some of the points that you raised later in our discussion. Dilip, what has been your initiation into this whole activism on road safety that you have launched? Also, you could give a little bit of insight of what your organization does.
Way back in 1996, I joined a multinational company which was dealing in the road safety engineering and road safety furnitures. So, because of which I started meeting PWD engineers and telling them about our products and how it can give better safety. At that point of time, I was not knowing about the road accidents and how important. I was promoting my products. And they were diverting me. They were telling me, you go to this place and see some accidents are taking place there, and that is dangerous. What can we do there? So I started going there, and then I started erecting the company's products to just to showcase, to get the marketing. So I was doing, while doing this thing, it was looking nice in the night, the visibility of the road. I used to go in the evening and see how it looks, and visibility of road, etc., etc. And then in April 2011, I saw on Naveen Times, it covers dilapidated signages, rusted, and these. I got that cutting still with me. Then I went and told the engineer, sir, this is this, you should use this, you should use that, and things like that. And then came a decade of action for road safety, 2011 to 2020. I came across this article, and the goal there was to reduce road accident fatalities by 50%. It was UN, United Nations, and Geneva Conclave. India was also signatory to that. So, and they had given a clear-cut formula. They said, if you use these 4 E's, that is education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency care, you can reduce these road accident fatalities by 50%. Then I started propagating these 4 E's. They were not listening to me. Then from PWD, I went to Director of Transport, then to police. Police were receptive. They were giving a lot of cooperation. So then, because PWD not listening, I thought, what if I start an NGO and then it will have a better reason. I started in 2017. I started Goa Road Safety Forum NGO. I took on board people who write on the paper, social media. They have inclination towards road safety. I used to call them and take in our fold, and we started working. So this is how I started, and then. One DGP, Dr. Muktesh Chandar, when he came, he said his passion is road safety. You want to bring down the fatalities. Then I went and met him. One day, Manohar Parrikar called me at around 4 o'clock in the evening. Maybe he saw my video or something somewhere, and he said he also encouraged me. And then every big officer come, I go and meet them, and I try to tell them, it is my firm belief till today we can reduce road accident by 50% if we follow these 4 E's. These are very elaborative, which in due course of our debate, I will try to highlight each and every part of this 4E's. That is how I came into this.
Thank you, Dilip. Thank you. We will come to your 4Es. They are very relevant because they are all evolved scientifically at an international level. So, we now move on to Cecil. Cecil, what really inspired you to launch that, whole campaign to improve road signages, especially visibility of speed breakers after sundown?
Well, actually, the story goes like really crazy because I'm a victim of an unpainted speed breaker. I have a metal plate in my back. It happened during college days, and I was just traveling locally by a bus, sitting on the last seat, and the bus went really fast over a speed breaker, not realizing that it would have an impact. And then I started getting some pricking pain. With that numbness started, my whole one side was like paralyzed for almost 2 weeks, and I went through a horrible experience back in my college. My third year it was. My friends also who were witness, they had to carry me, back home. So this is how it had started. But as a youth, I didn't realize the importance of what happened during that time and how can I be vocal about it. As now there's so much of, people are knowing what is happening around. So I was quiet about it. And later on, when accidents and we started seeing a lot of friends of ours dying on roads, youngsters. I lost a dear friend, was 19-year-old. Because he was not wearing a helmet, he just banged into a pole and he died on the spot. And this certain things like really started playing on my mind, but again I was not very vocal. In 2018, when I think so, our roads were in a very, very horrible state, and my back started hurting even because I was driving from Taligaon all the way to Benawali for my theatre rehearsals, and it was every day, and those roads were horrible. So due to that, the hashtag Rosta, first song which came out, the pothole song, which went viral. I just did it as because my frustration was to the government and I didn't know how to say it. So I said, since I'm an artist, I never sang before publicly, but thanks to the theatre, because of singing there, I said, okay, let me try out this. And the theatrist family also guided me and helped me out with this, and my friends. It was a zero budget project, but it had such a big impact, and I thank all the people who were there part of it. So that Rosta song was one which went viral, and then I said, what do I do more to highlight it as a citizen? Then I started the t-shirt campaign, what I'm wearing, hashtag Rosta Goa t-shirt campaign, which says, people deserve better, road safety measures, and needs to be implemented, which is there on my back. I did it for a whole year. That is going for funerals, going for weddings, going to a party place, going out of my house, going to a church, to make a 1 year impact on it. With that, then started painting speed breakers. Painted more than 300 speed breakers in less than 3 months. That was in 2019, and before pandemic hit us in March. I had a lot of youth who came down, supported us. Even Nitin Gadkari, who is the BJP main head for the national highways, he also tweeted saying that road safety hero is putting our photograph as hashtag Rosta Goa, which is an eye-opener where a BJP person himself is putting it forward, and our own MLA and our own ministers here, which were ruled by BJP, were sleeping on it. So this is where we as citizens, I think so, can play a very effective role, where we participate, whatever knowledge we have, little bit, without fearing. I just started painting. People started saying, Cecil, they'll put a case on you. I said, if they'll put a case on me, I said, I have evidence that it was not painted earlier. Any speed breaker that needs to be, put, has to have certain, guidelines before putting it. And it has not been adhered to. So obviously I'm on my right. I said, let's see what happens. And that's how the journey started. And till now, 2022, I'm continuing it. And thanks to all the people and support and love and care, I'm going ahead. And social media is the impact that I have used to highlight my work.
Thanks, Cecil, for that insight. Coming to Bosco George, I don't think we need his introduction. By his very profession, he has been involved with policing the roads, and I would like Bosco to initiate this debate, and from his perspective, having put in 40 years or more, or almost 4 decades in the police service, what do you think needs to be set right now?
Thank you, Ashley. And okay, now being on the other side of the, I think I can speak much more clearly. First of all, congratulations to Advocate Moses, Cecil. You all are doing a wonderful job. You all are the non-violent warriors which are required in our society, because our society is the most hypocritical society, and especially goons. They will yell on the top of their voices for everything, but when it comes to them, they will never do. These same hypocrites, while in Goa, they will make a big noise of everything, but they will call politicians to call the police for this, that, and everything. Just cross the border, they are bloody a mouse. They are not able to react to anything. So the hypocrisy of our society needs to change. That is first. Okay. The most visible and the most criticized are the policemen on the street. Why? Because he's on the street. But what is it with him? He does. The engineering is with the PWD. The signages are to be done by the local bodies. Okay. Then afterwards, an enforcement is the most important thing in the law. In our this, hike up all the fines first. We are not ready to implement it. No, we have all this thing. Put these huge fines. Then after 3048, the person can kill him, kill a person and come out bailable offense. The biggest hypocrisy. Look at the ratio of murder cases to the number of fatal accidents that take place in Goa. It is nearly 4 times more. But we will make a big cry, human cry, murder zata, ye zata, police krita kotta, faudan padla, all these things we'll say. But the irresponsibility of our society, and when a person loses his life, it's a huge thing. It's just the family that is suffering, but nobody is reacting. So these are the thing. The thing is, nothing is with the police. And whenever anything is done, police are the last to be consulted. Not consulted, are to be informed. Now you look, take a Panjim road. Suddenly you realize that this road is closed. Who has closed? Collector has closed it. But police have not been informed. Only once the people create hue and cry, they will not call the collector, they will call the police. I mean, this is what. As long till such time that the police is not made a part of the stakeholder that decides all these things. Whether you come up with huge, look at the casinos, where is the parking? We are having such a, when I started as a police officer in 87, Saturday, Sunday Panjim was a dead city. And we could manage with 3 constables. Today what is the situation? Every day is in equal number of people in the morning, afternoon, night and evening. And still the police force is still the same. No, these things, until and unless your situation, the thing keeps on, if you want to build up these things, also build the human infrastructure of the police force. And until such time, be ready to be living in this hell that is going, nothing is going to change.
I will bring in all the remaining 3 panelists on this particular issue of enforcement that Bosco George has raised. See, finally, the man on the street is the cop.
Indeed.
Okay, the PWD engineer who is responsible for the road engineering is not on the street, not visible. The politician who decides how much money should go into making roads is not on the scene. So it's finally the cop who is on the scene, and always the cop who is blamed. This is the issue that Bosco has raised. What is your view on this? Moses, I'll bring you in on this.
Well, first of all, strong words by the ex-top cop himself. And I wouldn't go so far as to belittle or berate the police force, because they are involved in doing substantial work which is the need of the day, the need of the hour, and they have been in fact I have more interaction with the traffic police personnel of the traffic cells in our respective jurisdictions, And what I have observed is that they are very perceptive. The DYSPs of every traffic cell understands the ground reality. They know the geographical context in which the traffic cell personnel have to operate, and they even are very well aware of the personnel shortages in terms of required man hours. But somewhere the hypocritical aspect needs to be seen through a different lens, because the hypocritical aspect is like an offshoot, or is like a product of the frustration that is felt by the general public towards all the other branches. And like Mr. Bosco has rightly observed, it is that the police have to always be at the receiving end of this frustration, which is meted out by the general public. There has to also be an approach which is conciliatory, and the conciliatory approach is what Goa police should be known for. However, and this I have to regrettably observe, there is no conciliatory approach when it comes to road safety, in my opinion.
From the police side, you mean to say?
From the police side.
Can you give a couple of examples?
Well, the most simple, or the most current example I have found, and I have seen this with my own eyes, is when the vehicles are coming, the four-wheelers are coming down from Atal Setu and entering Panjim city through the approach bridge. At that point, I saw many traffic police personnel manning a speed camera, and this speed camera, in my understanding, does not require more than 2 people to operate, because you have to have a tripod on which it is set up, and you have one person who focuses the radar and the other person who takes the reading. However, what I saw day before yesterday was that there were a dozen traffic police personnel who were hovering around this camera, and they were intent on detecting on the radar which is the speeding vehicle, so that they can go and apprehend the vehicle and gesture it to stop. Here is where the issue comes up, that the conciliatory approach is not taken, because you have a camera, you have modern technology, and this technology is more or less driven by a sort of rudimentary form of AI. You have cameras which can capture the act happening, and you can correlate this action together and issue a traffic challan. However, there is a hands-on approach on the road, and that is, the respective traffic police personnel comes onto the lane and puts his body at vulnerability, his person at vulnerability, and gestures the speeding vehicle which is coming down a slope, gestures it to come to an abrupt halt, so that the license can be checked and the reason for speeding can be detected, or rather questioned. This confrontation, is it in the interest of being conciliatory, or is it necessary that the evidence shall speak for itself? Because it is obvious that speeding is taking place. It is obvious that Goa Police through traffic cell has the technology to implement fines for the purpose of speeding. But is it really necessary to risk the life of the police personnel to bring the vehicle to a halt, and in the process also endanger the life of the vehicles behind it?
I get your point, Moses. I get your point about the general feeling that a citizen should get from the traffic police manning the streets for enforcement. It should be conciliatory, but that is again debatable, for the simple reason that you have vehicle users who are brazenly negligent. You can't expect a police officer or a policeman on the street to be conciliatory towards brazenly traffic rule violating vehicle drivers. You know, so
I'll just add one.
so
thing.
that
I
yeah.
agree with you. I agree with you. I think this things are coming, just entering into the market. It is not whether it is the Atal Setu, whether this thing. It's new, and maybe our boys are still over enthusiastic, and agreed that this will it will formalize it. It will get into this thing once
it will evolve.
evolve. It
Yeah.
will evolve. It is now, and the mentality again, I will say of we people is until they see the policeman stopping, others will not get a reaction. Others they'll say, "Arey, to
best
police,
house na
police best ubo han to wai ta teja sam." They will not agreed. But this is not this thing. But things will evolve as you say. It should be in that. This thing is we should not have police personnel at all on this thing.
Streets.
Everything should be on AI. It will, but here this is just one part of it, because you see that this thing cutting lanes, this that nothing is happening. In fact, I got some data of this thing, but
Yeah. Let's move on to another aspect of this. I will bring in Dilip here. You spoke about the 4 E's. Let's start off with the first one, which is education. What is your take on how should we educate our people on the do's and don'ts on road safety?
As Sir Bashko rightly said about the police, that should not be, and all about the police part. Here I would like to reinforce. See, if education part and engineering part, if we take care of it properly, there is no need of police. I'll tell how. Education means what? This is not a degree or post-graduation or literate or illiterate. Everybody, there must be education for the road users as well as the riders and the drivers. Education should start the school level. Which side of the road we should walk. We are driving on the left, but when we walk, we should walk on the right side of the road, because you can see oncoming vehicle and you can take action. Otherwise, somebody will eat you from the back. Many people don't know this. We don't know this. Then the education of the riders and driver. When we approach for the driving license, I have data from the Director of Transport. 3,298 people approached RTO for license, and only 168 failed. Rest all got the license. There is a Supreme Court ruling.
This is the learner's license.
No,
the
final
test,
license.
the test.
Yeah, final license and learner license statistic is same. There is a Supreme Court ruling, writ petition 295 2012, which says no license ought to be given merely based on your vehicle maneuvering skills. You know clutch brake, you know steering, you can ride at 100 speed, you can brake suddenly. These are the vehicle speed. What our driving school does is, they teach you only part of the vehicle skills, not fully vehicle skills. They don't teach you how to do parallel parking, means how to put your car between two cars. They don't teach you. That you learn practically on the road at our expense. By hitting other cars, hitting other people, you learn on the road. So they say, I'll give you license within 8 days. They are, they boast. You come to my driving school, within 8 days you are there. This is the license, and this is they do it practically. So this education, that it says you should know rules of the road. What are the rules of the road? There are more than nearly 200 different type of road signages. You must know all these road signages. There are road lines, the vertical lines, horizontal line, white line, yellow line, double line, single line, broken line, continuous line. You must know all these lines, and you must control your vehicle accordingly, according to the sign, according to the line. And then third, rules of the road. You must know how to approach a T-junction. I sometimes stand on the road and watch, most of the people, if this is a T-junction, and if I want to go this side, you will take this left corner like this. You will never come here, stop, see both sides, and you will never take like this. You will take, this is called as corner cutting. Most of the people in Goa do corner cutting, and this becomes cause of accident. Now, I have observed how they are giving the driving license. They will ask you to start, Pune gaya, Pati gaya, there is your license. They will not test whether you know these rules of the road. They will not do this. And there is again, how many licensing is one RTO inspector can give in a day. There is a capping for that. One per inspector, 4, 5, something. I can't recall it exactly now, but there is a capping. How many licenses one can give? And this every month we are certifying this tickling 4,000 tickling bombs in small Goa. This is very dangerous. So this, if this education is given, like now there is a zebra, people are waiting to cross, and I am driving. Why I need police to stop me? Tell me that somebody is crossing, you please stop. I mean, when you have a license, you should know that people are waiting to cross the road. I must give them the way.
Right.
They have got the right of the way. It's their first right.
First preference.
Pedestrian
But
is
police,
the first right.
Police have to do this. Same thing goes to the one year I have covered here, and second is engineering. Now you know different type of signboards, you know lines, but those signboards are not to be seen on the road. You are educated. Tomorrow we force the people to educate. We learn because our Goa Road Safety Forum, we got presence in all the talukas. We teach our people, we have taught our people, they teach others. I do videos and so many things. But where are the signages? And whatever signages are put, 100%, I am making this allegation on PWD. None of the PWD engineer in Goa PWD department knows about road safety engineering. They don't have knowledge about road signages. They don't have knowledge about road markings. They just give to any Tom, Dick, Harry, and he puts, they think it is like a number plate, they think it is a painter job. I don't mean the work of a painter, it is artistic, it is, they have their, artistic view, but this is engineering. So, there are standards, there is IRC 67 for road signages, there is IRC 35 for road marking, IRC 99 for speed breaker, how it should be, the different type of speed breakers. There is so much to learn, but I am in from 96 till 22. I am yet to see a single PWD engineer who has got passion, who has got knowledge, who has got will. Very, very sad, very sad. And they are so much negative. Whenever I try to, I meet them and try to tell them, they say, Dilip, tell me one thing. If we put the board, you think people will look at the signages and you do your job? No. You put the signages? No. That is none of your lookout. So this is, and if these two things are done, I was there in Dubai for 1 year. In 1 year, I have not seen police, how they look like. Now you will say because of technology. Now, see, here in spite of technology, as you rightly said, there are so many people to stop at the zebra, to stop at the intelligence. So we have to evolve, we have to think seriously on this. And if these two E's are taken care, police, no need of police for doing all
Enforcement.
this. And people always, I have seen on the social media, they curse the people, police. They say you are there only to give the challan, you are not there to regulate. Why police is required for regulation? You know the science, you know the rules, there are signals, you follow them, regulation will come automatically. So that was my take on this.
Thank you, Dilip. Very insightful inputs. But coming to what Bosco Joy said, one reason why police is being cursed so much is because he's the last man standing. There is no one else there out on the road,
Yeah, the establishment.
Yes, you are the face of the establishment to the common citizen, and that's the inherent drawback of your profession, which you have to accept. And coming to what Dilip said, why we need police on the streets for enforcement of traffic rules and traffic laws, and proper disciplined, movement of traffic, is because the other wings of the government have failed. As you say, the PWD has failed. But because the PWD has failed, we come to the, existential obstacle of the policing profession. The police cannot run away from the job.
Yeah.
Very true.
They cannot use the excuse of PWD has failed, the politician has failed, and XYZ has failed, so you don't blame me. No, you are the last man standing, so inherently the blame will come on you. But that is also one of the requirements of a policeman. You have to be standing up there despite defending the state, not the
But I
not
have
the
something
citizen.
positive to say also.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you a small this thing.
Mm.
Cattle on the streets.
Yeah.
Now, whose job is that?
That's the local bodies, yes.
We were asked to become cowboys to trace these people. I mean, ridiculous work.
Yeah.
Stray this
Dogs.
thing, dogs on the road, innumerable. And the trouble for us is, because I've been SP security, is when the VIP is passing, my biggest tension used to be, I hope no cattle, no dog, no this thing comes over.
Comes
there.
on the road.
And that to be right to the local bodies, please this thing. And
Ensure.
still I brief the people on the road. I mean, this is unnecessary or add-ons to us.
Add-ons to your
Yeah.
duties, yes.
And Dilip said, we need to have in school a subject.
Very true.
Okay? And the best teachers are the students. If they will tell their father, helmet garani aplak power, safety belt they will tell. Once you teach the children, drilled into them, I think they will always make it a point to the parents.
Yes.
My this thing, when I went to one school, I said, please ask your children on a daily basis, whichever parents come without helmet or anything, offer them a rose from the school side. Embarrass those people. No need of challans, nothing. Do these things at least.
Cecil, any
Positive. I have something positive to say.
please.
I think so. I've heard everyone say they are part of it, but I think so. I would like to thank the police on a number of occasions when I've been on ground doing work, especially Mr. Salim Sheikh. During my 100 speed breaker painting, he literally brought one whole force of policemen. I was doing in a narrow lane in Kandoli. He brought like 6 policemen, and I could just complete my 100 speed breaker that night within like 2 hours, because we had 16 speed breakers to paint that day, and he was holding traffic because others normally we are doing that, and I'm the only one painting, so we could divide the work and those who were painting. So Salim Sheikh was one. Then PI Chetan right now is handling the traffic cell in Panjim. With the chaos that's happening in Panjim, signed smart city, G20, underground cabling, everything happening simultaneously, no coordination. Police are not kept in the loop where there's going to be digging work, where there's going to be barricade needs to be done, where police needs to be controlling traffic. They are not being intimated, because this is what I got feedback from PI Chetan saying that, ma'am, आमका कौन सांगे ना कि केना काम चालू जाता है. And then when I keep calling him, PI Chetan, please come here, reach out. He said, don't worry, madam, I'll send somebody. And he's always been there, apt, sending someone. And I get a call from the police people saying that, ma'am, we are already there, we are handling traffic. This is like an assurance, but not everyone has the numbers. And that's why people dial 112 or 100 number. Because police is the last resort. Corporators don't pick up, punch members don't pick up, we don't have collector's number, we don't have PWD numbers. The only numbers that we have is the police. And sometimes they are so angry because everyone's trying to call them, no one's answering the calls because it's jammed. So, they also are put in a fix in such a bad way. I remember, because of this chaos that was happening because of G20, everywhere there was a traffic jam. Everywhere. And he's like, ma'am, where do I send? There's hot mixing happening somewhere, there's digging happening somewhere. And they really were in trouble. But I respect the police because, they have to listen. And heads up to all of you all who are dedicatedly doing their jobs, on ground, in the heat. Now with the summer that's going on, it's horrible. We sit at AC cars and we always comment and but it's not easy to be on ground handling, because we as citizens are not responsible also. That's why they have to be on ground. We don't realize that they also have families at home. They also end up having heat stroke. They also end up having heart attacks because of the amount of hours of duty. They don't do just 12 hours like us or 8 hours of work. They do 24 hours, sometimes 32 hours. Am I right, sir?
Yeah,
Because they are short staffed and they do not get support from the government too. So there is a lack of will from somewhere where it's not happening. And in the end also, when we say that everyone needs to be supportive, there has to be, like how sir said, they need support. They need to have powers where they can implement the things and they don't. So I wish,
Like,
sir,
like Cecil said, we don't require powers. Powers, keep it with the politician. I'm saying respect the authority.
yes.
When he says stop, it is stop. Finish, it's over. No argument. Why are you to this thing? What is this thing? Who are you? So only that authority, let his authority be respected. The man on the street, finished, it's okay. If he is doing wrong, there is an authority. And I think the police, the senior officers, we are the fastest at responding to this thing. If he is done wrong, which other department you will find suspension as frequent as it happens in the police department? Never.
Having discussed the issues that we have already raised, the two E's that Dilip raised, the education and road engineering. Bosco spoke about, the hypocrisy of the society in only pointing fingers out there to the man on the street, the cop, and the aspect that Moses brought in too. But there is one aspect that I have a personal interest in bringing out in this discussion is, the whole aspect of public transport being in such a shambles in Goa. And that being one reason why we have so many vehicles on the street. Unfortunately, we have nobody from the government side to speak on this aspect. We tried getting people from the RTO and also from the transport department, but we did not get. They did not agree to come onto this for some reasons.
Even I would have not come if I was
so,
in service.
Worldwide it is
mass transport.
proven that mass transportation, better efficient mass transportation, fewer the accident rates. Can you throw some light on this?
Yes, certainly.
Moses, please.
Certainly. I think that the pandemic has a lot to do with the preference being given for private vehicles ever since we have stepped out into the unlock phase of the coronavirus pandemic. It was a statistic I read during the first phase of the unlock which caught my attention, and that was most of the people in urbanized areas are now starting to prefer private means of transport and investing in four-wheelers with an air condition. This was being done by them.
This is a Goa statistic or
this is a nationalized
national
statistic.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was being done, it was found out through a survey and a questionnaire, and it was, the predominant answer was to stay away from the pandemic and to prevent a reinfection or to prevent a infection per se. So the idea was that if I have a vehicle which I can personally commute in, I will not be interacting with the other occupants in mass transit. And the reason is quite justified, because the right to self-preservation is implicit in the right to life under Article 21, and every citizen has the autonomy to choose how they expect to commute and how they expect to have a lifestyle of their own. However, mass transit requires certain considerations which are bounded more on the environment. And until and unless the road users have an environmentally conservationist approach, it wouldn't be possible for mass transit to take off really well. Because the most appealing thing about mass transit is that it is one vehicle and one engine with a limited amount of emissions which is able to transport so many people. And this reduces the carbon footprint every person has on the planet. And to think about the fact that you will be, by using mass transport, you will be reducing the impact on air pollution, you will be reducing the impact on the environment in many different ways, is actually
Moses,
a positive.
that's another debate altogether. We'll definitely have that debate on the emission affecting the ecology and the environment.
I'm trying to emphasize that it should be an appealing factor towards
Mass transportation,
towards
use of mass transportation. One appealing factor would be the efficiency of the mass transportation system, right?
Or rather,
like for example,
it would be a drawback.
Like a recent example I'll give you. This must have been about 2 weeks ago. Every bus stand, KTC bus stand in Goa, had 200 people stranded because the KTC decided to divert 70 buses
Very true.
to an election campaign in Karnataka
Without informing anybody.
without informing anybody, without even informing the RTO.
Yes.
Blatant.
And it was a fact because these people, 200-300 people on every bus stand, Panjim, Margao, Vasco, Ponda, Mapsa, because these are these daily commuters using the Kadamba bus, and they are sure every day this bus will leave at 10 o'clock from this point. But on that particular day, those buses were not there. So efficiency is one problem that
Stands in the way of
dissuades people from using public transport. Like for me, the shuttle services run by the KTC are so efficient.
Yeah, I agree.
Like if I don't have to take my family along and I have to go to Margao or to Vasco, I will not take my car. I will rather go to the Kadamba Transport and go in the shuttle service
My
because
hostel uses the
because that is one
shuttle.
service of the KTC that is so efficient. Like the
That's
moment
I agree.
That's true.
I agree.
and now
And
with
AC.
the e buses coming in, it is even more pleasant. they are air conditioned buses, but then these require policy interventions at a higher level, and none of us on this panel are capable of authoritatively saying anything on this issue. Because the government has to, like for example, another example I gave before we started this debate, we were informally discussing around 650 crores spent on a third bridge across Mandovi River. I mean, this must be the only river in the world that has 3 bridges. Okay, now if that 650 crores that was spent could be, every year 50 crores pumped into KTC to improve your mass transportation. You solve the problem for 10 years, and by adding another bridge you have not solved any problem.
Yeah.
Problem between on either
Like
side of
more
on the contrary,
More traffic.
at a different geographical point somewhere
Yeah.
near
Holy
Holy Family Church in Porvorim and also Kokero, you have created a bigger bottleneck. So I think at a policy level, failure at the policy level is creating problems for everybody, the citizen as well as the policeman on the street. And Dilip wants to say something
Yeah.
before we conclude.
Yes,
quickly,
very important.
because we are
They-
running out of time
Yeah,
also.
see, see, this our Goa Road Safety Forum. We working, our full family is working on it. My wife, my children, we are working on Goa Road Safety Forum. कितें जालें ना एक चलये भुरग्यांनी फोन केलो टू माय वायफ आनी तेणें सांगलें दीदी आमकां वी वॉन्ट टू टेल समथींग सो दे वर फायंडींग ऑकवर्ड टू टॉक टू मी सो टेल समथींग की आमी बसीन असो कंडक्टर भरता बसी हय मागीर ते मायग्रंट लेबर्स तेजो फायदो घेता मुद्दम आंगार पडटा कोण टच करता कोण कितें करता
I'm a victim of that.
आनी इट इज व्हेरी
Ridiculous.
so they told and then she told okay I'll talk to and we will talk to director and this we'll try to do something. Then one day my daughter is traveling from Ponda to Panjim. When she told me it is horrible, that night I could not sleep. ताणी जेन्ना सांगलें आपले प्रॉब्लम हे सगळे I could not sleep. And what to do now? आता पणजे from Ponda to shift to Panjim, एक option, a daily dropper to Panjim by car, that is 400 rupees per day, 400, 800, which I can't afford. And Mahani Tisra is to give our bike. And there is already 85% families are having bike, and the accident rate high because of this. And then when she will go by bike, fortune buck, that is there. Now what do I do? And then when I spoke to this deputy director of transport about this problem, तेणे म्हाका कितें सांगलें, इट इज शॉकिंग. तो म्हणटा इट इज ओन्ली सकाळच्यो त्यो बसी फूल वयता आनी सांजच्यो फूल वयता, फूल बाकीचो इन बिटवीन बसी म्हणटा एमटी वयता. ही हॅज सिम्पथी टुवर्ड्स द बस पीपल. Actually, when Kadamba was started in 1980 or 81 something, तेन्ना ह्या लोकांक सांगपाक जाय आशिल्लें, बाबा रे, the state transport has to be run by government. तुम्ही स्लोली तुमची परमीट आसा ते मे बी नेक्स्ट 5 year रिन्यू जातले और वॉट सो यू डायवर्ट टू सम अदर बिजनस. गव्हर्मेंट विल हेल्प यू, एंड गव्हर्मेंट शूड हॅव हेल्प्ड and diverted, given them job or whatever. And by now, today, the public transport should have been 100% with government. And मागीर तांकां excuse तरी मेळची ना आशिल्ली लॉस दाखोवपाची, because 100% whatever it is. At least now, if they are listening to our, watching our debate, आता तरी कराच ते, कारण जेन्ना प्रायवेट बसवालो तेका whenever he feels like he will discontinue, he will move out from this business. But then it is a demand. आणि जे फोंडा पणजी आमचो आसा तितून 30 kilometers. फॉर 30 kilometers एटलीस्ट डू वन थिंग. त्यो विद्यो बारीक बसी घातल्या, बारक्यो बसी घातल्या न्ही, फॉर सच अ लॉंग डिस्टन्स यू कॅनॉट पूट बारीक बस. तो ती कार चलयल्ल्या भशेन चलयता, अशी चलयता, आनी ते म्हणटा आपूण घरा पावतले काय म्हणून आपल्याक गॅरंटी आसना. एटलीस्ट पूट बीग बसीस सो दॅट दे कॅनॉट रेस अँड स्पीड लायक दीस. दीस इज अ हंबल रिक्वेस्ट टू ट्रान्सपोर्ट मिनिस्टर अँड चीफ मिनिस्टर अँड एवरीबडी इन दॅट.
I have a suggestion I would like to make, and this is it's based on a nostalgic experience of the past, which is actually relevant now, and that is the idea of carpooling. Of course, we are now talking about large large buses with capacity of up to 50 passengers. But I remember a simpler time. This was in the late 90s, where at every stand, which was known as the prasa, you had an ambassador vehicle painted black and yellow.
There was even Margam to Kolva.
Yes, Margam to Kolva specifically, because yes, and in
and
that
Mapsa to
ambassador,
Bardes, different areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
and in that ambassador vehicle, there used to be a carpooling system where the occupants who could afford a fare which is a little higher than the bus could actually sit in the ambassador and wait for the ambassador car to fill up, so that the driver of the car could transport them to their respective destinations in a carpooling manner. What this would do is it would help smaller rides to take place between 4 or 5 passengers, and it would reach them to their exact destination. You don't have to catch a connecting bus. So in Goa, I don't see why carpooling cannot be brought back by an app which is more Goa centric, and can also put into use and put into functionality the yellow and black taxis or the tourist vehicle taxis which are lying idle for a long time. Say for instance, at the Goa airport, you have to go and put a number, and I have been told by the taxi drivers that based on the association that they are affiliated to, the number usually comes after a span of 6 to 8 hours, the next ride. So in that 6 to 8 hours, the vehicle is in that line, in that queue, and is waiting idle. If that vehicle can be appropriated towards a carpooling system, the efficiency would be highly improved of transporting people from A to B. And this is also in favor of the last mile connectivity.
Yeah, but that is an initiative that somebody has to take.
Somebody has to
It
take
cannot be implemented from the government side.
Correct.
So it is a private.
As I said,
yeah.
it is a suggestion.
So, yeah. It
We had
has to be.
started carpooling for women before the pandemic, and soon 3 months the pandemic hit. We had already done a WhatsApp chat
Okay.
for women who were like, if I'm driving from one place to the other, then I put on the group, if anyone's, if you don't have a vehicle and you need a lift. We started this,
Okay.
a carpooling service for women, because
Okay.
women would not like to
Are
take if a man is
vulnerable,
driving.
yes.
So we had started this, but after the pandemic, people were more cautious of not getting into anyone else's car, even till now. Even when I try to
Yes.
give lift, they say, no, it's okay, we'll go by bus. Though I'm a woman driving. So it's very, people have changed a little. So slowly I'm sure by the next year we'll reintroduce that whole system and we'll try and...
So you could be the pioneer for this
We can
movement.
start off with the women and then hopefully help out.
Yeah, now that the pandemic
out the
is
students,
passed,
at least.
and we are coming back to normalcy, these ideas can be put into practice, but I think that is a private initiative to be taken.
Yeah.
Also,
Uh,
Ashley, can I have a
yeah.
few points?
I think we are
Quick, very quick.
we are
I'll
out of
be
time
as fast
completely.
as possible.
Yeah.
But I think so very important is that we are talking about all the government officials. We have to see that how public can participate in this kind of road safety issues. So what we have like literally forced into our Gram Sabha saying that please have a road safety committee. And I think so all the panchayats, all the municipalities should have a road safety committee where citizens can participate, and a monthly once a week meeting has to be held. Like we held ours and you won't believe it. I had so many pointers to give which the panchayat were not even aware of. Like they are not bothered about road safety.
Correct.
Whether it's like, it's speed breakers, then zebra crossing, cement on
Rambulas.
hot mix road, open drains, stray cattle, dogs, street light not being proper, helmets, tinted glasses, and then cutting of road by the citizens because verbal approvals are given by PWD water department. And that has also damaged a lot of our roads. So road safety. So these are something if we as citizens participate with the elected representatives, I think so we will be, because we have eyes, ears, and we can contribute. But this has to be an initiative by every panchayat, every municipality, and I think so please people who are watching it, enforce this in your area like how we have done it in our panchayat, and I think so any help you need, we are there. So please go ahead and bring these committees into enforcement.
To conclude, 3 or 4 points that have come out of this discussion, as Bosco George said, respect the authority of the traffic cop on the street. That is something that you viewers have to observe. If that cop has erred, there is a further step to punish him through a process going to higher ups. You can follow that, but at that moment on the street, respect the authority of the men in the uniform. The point raised by Cecil, what you viewers should do is participate in road safety issues in your respective areas, with the panchayats, with the municipalities. Get your local body to set up the road safety committee that is statutorily required to be set up and which is not being done. The points that were raised by Dilip, the 2 E's, the 2 more important of the 4 E's, the education. Public has to pressurize the government of the day to make sure that a subject is included in the curriculum in schools, so that the very culture of safe use of road is ingrained in our youngsters who are the future. Yeah, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. Thank you.